Hi, welcome to another video with us at Western STEM Academy. Today we're looking at nature's most powerful storms. We're looking at all about hurricanes, Hurricane Melissa, and its impact on Jamaica in 2025. I want you to go ahead and watch this video to the end. Ensure you like, share, and subscribe. Turn post notifications on and watch to the end. We will have a bonus trivia question and turn post notifications on. That's important. We're going to be learning all about hurricanes, not the most interesting subject, but it's our reality, especially persons living in the Caribbean. So many of us have encountered or experienced so many different hurricanes. So I wanted to shed some light on hurricanes, just looking at how they're formed, what can we do to prepare for them and its impact. So we can just learn more about the science of hurricanes. All right, so remember to go ahead, like this video, subscribe, and turn post notifications on if you have not yet done so. I'll give you a minute to go ahead and hit that button. Now, nature's most powerful storms. Hurricanes are actually among the most powerful forces on Earth, believe it or not. They can destroy entire cities, reshape your coastlines, and affect millions of lives in a matter of hours. But how do these massive storms form? What makes them so destructive? We're going to be exploring the fascinating science of hurricanes, their devastating impact on the Caribbean, and especially how Hurricane Melissa changed Jamaica's western parishes forever. Stay with us until the end to discover how you can also help to make a difference during this difficult time. I want you to go ahead and if you have experienced any hurricane, whether Hurricane Melissa or any other hurricane, I want you to go ahead and comment below. We'd love to know which hurricane was that and do you remember the year and where were you? Which country were you in? All right, now what is a hurricane? A hurricane is basically a type of tropical cyclone, a massive rotating storm system with powerful winds, torrential rain, and thunder that can span hundreds of miles. In other parts of the world, they're called typhoons or cyclones, but they all form in a similar way and carry the same destructive potential. To officially become a hurricane, a tropical storm, so first it's a tropical storm, it must reach wind speed of 74 miles per hour or 119 kilometers per hour. Now, have you ever experienced a hurricane or tropical storm? Think about what that was like as we continue. Perfect storm recipe. Hurricanes don't just appear randomly. They need very specific conditions to form and strengthen. Think of it like baking. You need the right ingredients in the right amount. Now, in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, there is a specific period that we refer to as a hurricane season. I want you to go ahead, if you know our hurricane season, the specific dates, I want you to go ahead and put it in the comments below and let me know that you know the hurricane season. All right. And we will comment or we'll respond to the persons who are correct to let you know if you're correct or not. All right. Now, what we need warm ocean water. So at least, and that's why the Caribbean is such an easy target, for want of a better word, right? So you find those coastlines, the Caribbean, Florida, all those countries around the coast, you tend to find that they are usually prone to hurricanes. So warm ocean water, at least 26.5 degrees Celsius or 80 degrees Fahrenheit to provide energy. We also need a moist, unstable air, so rising air that cools and creates the storm clouds. We need a low wind shear, which allows the storm to grow tall and organized. We also need Earth's rotation, right? The Coriolis effect make the storm spin, right? So it's really the spinning of the storm that gives its energy to really transcend into a hurricane. When these four conditions come together over warm tropical waters, nature builds one of its most dramatic engines of energy, the hurricane. Can you guess which ingredient is most important? Which one do you think is most important? Go ahead and comment below. Now, the science of hurricane formation, evaporation. Many of us have heard this term, evaporation. Have you ever heard of evaporation? Right? Evaporation, warm ocean water evaporates, sending massive amounts of moist air upward into atmosphere. We have condensation, right? The rising moist air cools as it climbs higher and condenses into towering clouds, which releases tremendous heat energy. We have our energy cycle. This released heat warms the surrounding air, causing it to rise even faster, fueling more powerful wind and more clouds in a self-reinforcing cycle. Then you have the rotation that will begin. The storm will begin to spin as the Earth's rotation pulls winds inwards, creating the characteristic spiral shape. Now we have our eye formation, a calm low pressure center, which is the eye of the hurricane, very important, forms, and that's surrounded by the most intense winds called the eye wall, right? Now this continuous powerful process turns a simple thunderstorm into a swirling powerhouse capable of unimaginable destruction. We're going to now look at the anatomy of a hurricane. I know, remember to like this video if you're finding it helpful and comment what you think so far about the formation of hurricanes, which hurricane you've ever experienced, and what it is that you'd like to learn more about hurricanes. Now, a Mateo hurricane has three distinct parts that work together to create its devastating power. You have the eye. You must have heard when you're watching the weather or any hurricane, one very important thing that they always talk about is the eye of the storm, the eye, right? This is really the calm, clear center of the storm where the winds are light and the skies can be blue. Right? This airy calm is deceptive. The worst is yet to come. Right? So they always tell you, look out for the eye. Now, the eye wall, this is the ring around the eye containing the most violent winds and heaviest rain. This is where maximum destruction occurs, right at the eye wall thereabout. In addition to the eye wall and the eye, we also have the rain bands, right? These are long bands of clouds that rain, right? So long bands of clouds and rain that spiral outwards from the center, sometimes extending hundreds of miles from the eye. All right, from space, hurricanes look beautiful, but not on the ground. So I know several of us, when we're looking at the satellite of a hurricane, we see the swirls and it just looks really good. You see the eye, right? They look so good. But when you should look at it close up in terms of the damage is just devastating, right? So underground, they're absolutely deadly, right? No, why hurricanes cause such catastrophic damage? We might ask. Hurricanes aren't just one disaster, there are four disasters happening at once. Each threat can destroy lives and property on its own, but together they create unprecedented devastation. The wind damage. So we have the wind, we have the storm surge, we have heavy rainfall, and we have tornadoes. For wind damage, winds exceeding 150 miles per hour will uproot the massive trees, tear your roofs off, right? Tear the roofs off the buildings, turn the debris into deadly projectiles, and knock out power lines across entire regions. This is just impact from the wind alone. Then we have the storm surge. The storm surge, the hurricane really pushes water inland like a massive wall, flooding the coastal areas with salt water. This destroys everything in its path and contaminates freshwater supplies. We also have our heavy rainfall, which of course leads to what we see as the flooding. Hurricane will dump trillions of gallons of rain, causing flash floods, overflowing rivers, and catastrophic landslides that bury entire communities. So that is why whenever there's a hurricane, you will hear evacuate if you're in a low-lying area, because the heavy rainfall can cause severe flooding. The storm surge, all of that can actually cause severe flooding. And in this hurricane, we saw where there was severe flooding. Persons' homes were flooded up to the roof. Right? We had persons saying water came in and water was up to their shoulders. Tornadoes. Hurricanes can actually spawn multiple tornadoes within their rain bands, adding another layer of unpredictable destruction and terror. So, in addition to the wind damage, the storm surge, and the heavy rainfall, we're adding tornadoes to that, which is just catastrophe. Now, the combination of all of this, the wind, the water, the flooding, it makes hurricanes one of the most destructive natural disasters on Earth. Now, I want you to think which of these threats is the most dangerous? Is it the wind damage, the storm surge, the tornadoes, or the heavy rainfall? To you, which one do you think would be more dangerous? The Caribbean is like a hurricane alley. The Caribbean lies directly in the Atlantic hurricane belt, meaning many powerful storms will pass through or nearby each year during the hurricane season, which we asked earlier. So now you're seeing the answer from June through to November. Hurricanes are woven into the fabric of the Caribbean life, shaping its history, economy, culture, and collective memory. A lot of persons outside of the Caribbean will tell you that they've never experienced a hurricane before. And we saw that where many tourists were stuck in Jamaica during the hurricane, and it was just an awful experience for them because several of them never experienced a hurricane before. So to be stuck in a hurricane outside of their country, then we can see how that would have been an experience for them. Imagine you are stuck in another country and there's a hurricane. How do you think that would affect you? Now, every generation has stories of survival and loss. When I was growing up, for me, all my grandmother would talk about was Hurricane Gilbert, Hurricane Gilbert, Hurricane Gilbert. They even made a song for Hurricane Gilbert about water coming in our room. We sweep out some with a broom. You know, how many of us know that song, right? I think the songwriter for that song said that they're not gonna make over any song for Hurricane Melissa. They're just gonna leave it at that. But Hurricane Gilbert is what we grew up hearing a lot about, 1988. But no, persons who have lived through both Hurricane Gilbert and Hurricane Melissa will tell you that Gilbert cannot, well, Melissa and Gilbert are in two different category in terms of the experience and the destruction. The level of destruction from Hurricane Melissa is still way greater than Hurricane Gilbert based on persons' experiences who have lived through both. Now, from the devastating Hurricane Gilbert in 1988 to the catastrophic Hurricane Ivan in 2004, I actually lived through Hurricane Ivan. I remember the trees blowing, bending, and now Hurricane Melissa in 2025. The region has endured countless powerful storms that test the resilience of its people again and again. I want you to tell me, why do you think the Caribbean experienced so many hurricanes? And I also want you to keep watching to learn more. We had Hurricane Gilbert, 1988, Hurricane Ivan, 2004. We also have Hurricane Dean in 2007, Hurricane Maria, 2017, Hurricane Melissa, 2025. And these were Category 5. Some of them didn't make landfall at Category 5, but they went up to Category 5. Now, Hurricane Melissa, 2025, Jamaica's western disaster. All the parishes got hit from Hurricane Melissa, but because it made landfall in Westmoreland, the western parishes were more affected than the other parishes. So it's not that the other parishes weren't affected, but the level of disaster in the western parishes is just incomparable. Now, Hurricane Melissa struck Jamaica in October 2025 as a catastrophic Category 5 hurricane with winds exceeding 185 miles per hour. That's 298 kilometers per hour. One of the strongest storms to ever hit the island. Not even cars go that fast. No, this caused widespread devastation because floodwaters recede, revealing the full scope of the destruction. Well, basically, first, it was very bad. So there was a step-by-step process that happened, right? So first we had the flooding, we had the disaster, we had persons losing their homes, right? But what happened as the floodwaters start to recede, then we're able to see the level of destruction. Now, what we're at the stage where emergency response begins, where communities that are isolated, right? Communities were isolated, roads were cut off, power was lost, water was lost. In addition to that, internet connection was also lost. Persons weren't able to hear from their loved ones for days, right? Even now, some persons are still trying to get to their loved ones up to 10 days after the hurricane. For me, I just heard from some of my people 10 days, 9 days after the hurricane. So definitely the disaster was great. Persons are still without food, persons are still without homes, persons are still without shelters. If you watch the news, you see the different stories of people just calling for help. Right? The hurricane caused catastrophic damage, especially in the western parishes. We're talking about St. Elizabeth, Trelawney, Hanover, Westmoreland, right? Entire communities were transformed into disaster zones in just hours. In just hours, the communities were transformed into zones. A lot of people even lost their lives there is still a count as to how many persons lost their lives from the hurricane. Now, Hurricane Melissa left a trail of unprecedented destruction across Jamaica's western parishes. We had agricultural devastation. As we know, Trelawney, St. Elizabeth, those parishes are the producers of a lot of our food. So thousands of acres of farmland were completely destroyed. Crops were lost. Animals were lost. Banana plantations, sugarcane fields, and vegetable farms were wiped out. We had our infrastructure collapsing. We're talking about homes, schools, hospitals. We look at even the Falmouth Hospital, the Black River Hospital, right? So many hospitals, hospitals in Lamar, right? So hospitals and community centers were flattened. Critical roads and bridges were washed away or buried under the debris. We have isolated communities. Entire communities were cut off for days due to severe flooding and landslides. Many areas were left without electricity, clean water, or road access. Even to now, it's going to cost so much to build back. But so far, we have a lot of persons on the ground who are rising to the aid and are aiding, whether by giving out food, supplies to build back homes, clothing, etc. Now, can you imagine losing everything in a single day? This was the reality for thousands of Jamaican families. Now, human economic toll, over 15,000 or more, I think the numbers are more than this. We have displaced residents. Thousands of Jamaican residents were forced from their homes into emergency shelters. They lost their homes. Some persons are not even in shelters because they just have nowhere to stay. They're staying under tarpaulins or they're just staying in the rubble, looking at all the things that they have lost. Over $2.5 billion in damages, the billions, it's estimated that the damages, it's about $2.5 billion in recovery costs for infrastructure, homes, and agriculture. Schools were wiped out. Even my alma mater, Westwood High School, a lot of it, the roofs were gone, the roof from the auditorium, the classrooms, other school as well were just wiped out. Hospitals, crop losses up to 80%. Most of the Western Parish farms, they lost their entire harvest and livestock. We have over 300 plus roads being damaged. So these critical transportation routes, it's destroyed or severely damaged. We also have our farmers losing crops and livestock, leading to serious concerns about food shortages. Roads, bridges, schools, and hospitals suffered major damage, with recovery costs reaching into the billions. Amidst the destruction of the Jamaica people, the spirit of resilience and unity is shown through. Neighbors started helping neighbors. We had persons coming in, giving supplies, giving out care packages, and that was just inspiring to watch. Strangers becoming family, even taking in residents who lost their homes. So that was just inspiring. And communities coming together to rebuild what was lost. This is the true strength of Jamaica. Now, critical lessons from Hurricane Melissa. Every disaster teaches us valuable lessons that can save lives and reduce future suffering. Here's what Hurricane Melissa taught us. Preparation saves lives. I know a lot of persons prepare and they still lost a lot because this was category 5. It's one like the second most severe storm to ever hit, right? So early warning systems, evacuation plans, and emergency shelters, whenever we hear them, we learn now that we cannot take them lightly because they could help dramatically to reduce deaths and injuries. Communities that were prepared suffered far fewer casualties. I know persons were still prepared and still suffered. So preparation is good and it reduces but not necessarily eliminates. And it's a natural disaster. So what we want to do is to reduce as much as we possibly can, right? Build stronger and smarter homes and buildings, right? Designed to withstand hurricane force winds and flooding. can actually survive even the strongest storm. So we definitely need more buildings that are built to withstand the storm, especially that we know this is a yearly thing from June to November. So this is where our engineers and our architects come in. So we need better building codes which can save money and lives. We also need to protect our environment, right? Climate change is a real thing. So we need healthy mangroves, coral reefs, and wetlands. What they do, they act as natural barriers that significantly lessen the storm surge impact. Nature is our first line of defense, so we have to protect our environment. We also need climate awareness. So the warmer ocean temperatures due to the climate change, this may lead to more frequent and intense hurricanes in the future. So we have to understand this and let it help us to prepare because climate awareness is a real thing. I want you to tell me which lesson do you think is the most important for your community? Share your thoughts and stay tuned for ways that you can actually help. Yes, you can help. Now, I'm going to be sharing a few mind-blowing hurricane facts here before we talk about ways that you can help. Hurricanes are really nature's most powerful storms, and their scale is almost impossible to comprehend. Here are some facts that will absolutely amaze you. Incredible energy output. The energy released by a single hurricane in just one day could power the entire world for a week. That's more energy than all human electricity generation combined. The giant eye. The eye of a hurricane can be over 30 miles wide. That's roughly the size of a small city. It is perfectly calm while surrounded by the most violent winds on earth. Massive storm surge. Storm surge can raise the ocean levels by more than 20 feet in extreme cases, enough to completely submerge two-story buildings near the coast. And as we saw, a lot of houses were flooded. Now, trillions of gallons. Hurricanes can dump trillions of gallons of rainwater in just a few hours, enough to fill millions of Olympic swimming pools and cause catastrophic flooding. Record-breaking winds. The fastest recorded hurricane wind was over 215 miles per hour or 355 kilometers per hour, faster than a Formula One race car at top speed. Nature, as you realize, is incredibly powerful, and hurricanes remind us of that awesome power. Which of these facts surprise you the most? For me, it's definitely the energy output, that the energy could actually power the entire world from just one single day of a hurricane. Comment yours and let me know. Now, how can you help to rebuild Jamaica? A lot of persons have been rebuilding so far, and for that, we are entirely grateful. Jamaica's Western parishes need ongoing help, not just today, not just tomorrow, but it's gonna take years to rebuild and global attention. Recovery will take months, even years, but you can make a real difference right now. This is how. You can donate to trusted organizations by supporting relief organizations working directly in affected communities. Every dollar will help to provide food, water, shelter, and medical care to families in desperate need. We have Food for the Poor Jamaica, which is doing great things. We also have the government's official website at supportjamaica.gov.jm, and we have other local charities. If you're interested in learning more about different organizations on the ground, and trying to put together a list of those that you can definitely support. You can also volunteer your time and skills. If you're underground, join our support rebuilding programs. And let me tell you, even if you're not underground, even the psychosocial support that you can give, it's not even all about the money. The money is important because it takes cash to care. But let's say you don't have enough resources financially. There are other ways that you can support. You can share the flyers, you can tell somebody, you can check in on someone. I was reading an article and the person said, yes, persons came to give food because there are a lot of airplanes that came with food, helicopters that came and do food drop, etc. in different areas. But all she wanted was somebody to ask if she's okay. A lot of persons went through trauma right? So if we can sponsor someone, whether through counseling, whether a listening ear or anything that we can come together to volunteer our time and our skills, right? Even clean up. I know some places are having cleanup drives, etc. We can do those things. So whether you're on the island or abroad, your skills, construction, medical, teaching, organizing, counseling, as we said earlier, or even listening can save lives. We can also share awareness and information, keep the world informed by sharing videos even long after the news has passed, right? Articles and updates. Global attention brings resources, funding, and sustained support for long-term recovery. Support the local economy, buy from Jamaica farmers, right? And small businesses as they work to recover. This is one very important way that we cannot overlook. Let's know more than ever buy Jamaica, support Jamaica. Your purchases will directly help families to rebuild their livelihoods and restart their lives. Even a small act of kindness can have a ripple effect across an entire island in need. What action will you take today? Now we're going to turn our awareness into action. Hurricanes are not just storms, they are powerful lessons in unity, resilience, and respect for nature's awesome power. By understanding the science behind these storms, we can prepare better and save lives. By standing together as a global community, we can recover stronger and help those who need it most. Knowledge saves lives, compassion builds nations. So let us come together, continue to prepare and uplift those affected by the hurricane and other natural disasters around the world. Because together, the truth is, we're stronger than any storm, right? So, but before you go, we have important ways you can take action right now. Keep watching. So, you've learned about the incredible science and devastating impact of Hurricane Melissa on Jamaica. Now, we want to turn your knowledge into action. Go ahead and like this video so that more persons can learn. Right? When you like this video, you do support. So, if you learned something new or found this information valuable, give us a thumbs up. It helps more people to discover this very important content. It took me a while to actually make this content, right? But 10 days after the storm, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna make it. I want you to go ahead and subscribe and ring the bell. Don't miss future educational videos on science, climate, weather, and real world chemistry. Subscribe and turn on your notifications. I also want you to share to raise awareness. Share this video with friends, family, and on social media to raise awareness and help support Jamaica's recovery efforts. Every like, share, and subscription helps spread the critical information and supports communities in need. Your action today will make a difference tomorrow. Now, you might still be wondering, why does hurricane science matter to you? Understanding hurricane science isn't just interesting, it's actually essential for survival in the Caribbean and other hurricane-prone regions. Knowledge is power, science saves lives. When you understand how hurricanes form and what makes them dangerous, you can actually make smarter decisions during the warnings, prepare your home and family effectively, recognize dangerous conditions early, and also help others to understand the risk and advocate, of course, for better building codes and policies. Now, every year, the meteorologists will use the science to track the storms with increasing accuracy, predict landfall locations and timing, as well as issue life-saving early warnings. They will also help the government to coordinate evacuations, reduce deaths and injuries significantly. Now, I want you to tell me, have you shared what you learned with someone who needs to know? Because education is the first step to protection. So I want you to go ahead and share this video with at least one person. Climate change and future hurricane risk. Now that we're here, what can we do? Scientists all around the world are concerned about how climate change might affect future hurricanes. So, when we were in Jamaica and the storm was about to come, we had a lot of different international media coming in, and persons couldn't understand why so much international media. The truth is, climate change is a growing concern, and a lot of these media outlets, they were interested to see what the impact of climate change would be on a hurricane in the Caribbean, like Jamaica, right? So we had a lot of what we call the storm chasers. No, warmer ocean temperature. Oceans are basically absorbing heat from climate change, providing more energy for hurricanes to form and intensify rapidly. We have more intense storms. While the total hurricane numbers may not increase dramatically, the proportion of Category 4 and 5 storms is likely to rise. We have increased rainfall. Warmer air holds more moisture, meaning future hurricanes could dump even more devastating rainfall amounts. We have higher storm surge. Rising sea levels mean storm surge will push even further inland, threatening coastal communities more than ever. Understanding these risks actually help us to prepare for the future. The time is to act is now. The time to act is now. Not after the next disaster strikes, but now. I want you to go ahead and think about what can your community do to prepare for this future. Building hurricane resilient communities. Communities across the Caribbean are learning to build back stronger and smarter after each hurricane. Here are proven strategies that work. Stronger building strategies because we need reinforced concrete walls, hurricane shutters, and secure roofing. What this does is that it can actually be the difference between total loss and survival. Natural protection is one way that we can actually have climate resilient or hurricane resilient communities by preserving and restoring our mangroves, our coral reefs, and our coastal vegetation, which actually provides invaluable storm surge protection. We also need our emergency preparedness. Wherever household should have emergency supplies, evacuation plans, and communication strategies ready before the hurricane season. Community shelters, there were over 800 shelters in Jamaica during Hurricane Melissa that were activated. These designated reinforced community shelters give the vulnerable residents a safe place to ride out dangerous storms. We also need to talk about the residents who sometimes are hesitant to go to the shelters and ways that we can actually make the shelters safer. Right? These strategies have been proven to save lives and reduce property damage in hurricane-prone areas worldwide. Is your community implementing any of them? Comment below. The truth is, your voice matters. Speak up for change. You don't have to wait for adults or officials to take action. Young people and concerned citizens can drive real change in hurricane preparedness and climate action. Now, here are the steps that you can take. Talk to your school about hurricane preparedness plans and drills. Write to local officials about improving building codes and early warning systems. Organize community education sessions on hurricane safety. Join or start environmental groups protecting natural storm barriers, as well as use social media to raise awareness about climate action. You can also support the candidates who prioritize disaster preparedness and climate resilience. Your voice is powerful, and it's very important that you use it because the truth is, change will start with informed, passionate people like you who are tired of, our country, our community going through the same thing over and over without strategies being put in place. Even though sometimes we can't do a lot to prepare because these are natural disasters, then we can use the last one to learn about how we can get better for the future. Now, we're actually coming down to the end of this video, and I want to thank you for watching. You have now learned the science behind hurricanes, right? You have witnessed the devastating impact of Hurricane Melissa on Jamaica and discovered how you can make a real difference. I want you to go ahead and like and subscribe, share this knowledge, and support Jamaica in the ways that you can. In the face of nature's fury, humanity's compassion will shine the brightest. Together, we are stronger than any storm. Remember that the knowledge that you have will save lives, compassion will rebuild nation, and action will create change. Thank you for staying until the end. Your engagement will help to spread this vital information to those who need it the most. Of course, we have a bonus trivia that we told you about at the beginning. What do we call a scientist who studies the weather, including events like hurricanes, using scientific principles to observe, analyze, and forecast atmospheric phenomena? I want you to go ahead and comment your answer below. Remember to like this video, subscribe, and share. Turn post notification on, and we will see you in the next video.